They looked different. 3 days of proper nutrition and medical care had transformed them. They stood taller, moved with more confidence. The injuries from their first match had mostly healed. They arranged themselves in a loose formation, clearly prepared for the larger arena, with its varied terrain. The announcer's voice boomed. "Citizens of the glorious empire, by decree of divine Emperor Zoltek, we present the match of the cycle." The surprising humans faced their greatest challenge, the undefeated champions of the arena, the Krell Brothers. The opposite gates opened with theatrical pyrotechnics. The Krell Brothers emerged to thunderous applause. They were magnificent specimens, each standing nearly 3 meters tall, with iridescent scaled skin stretched over dense musculature. Their modified physiology was evident in the extra joint in each limb, the reinforced cranial ridges, the unnaturally quick movement. They carried advanced weapons, still non-energy based as per arena regulations, but crafted from the finest materials with perfect balance and deadly precision. The lead Krell, identifiable by the scarlet markings on his armor, stepped forward and performed the traditional champion's salute to the Emperor's box. His 3 brothers fanned out behind him in their signature diamond formation. "They are going to lose," Voryx said, appearing beside me. "You're humans. They are going to die spectacularly." "Probably," I agreed, though without the satisfaction Voryx clearly expected. The signal to begin sounded. The audience fell silent, anticipating the swift and brutal display of dominance that had made the Krell Brothers legendary. But the humans didn't charge. They didn't even advance. Instead, they retreated strategically, separating into pairs that moved toward different sections of the arena. The Krells hesitated, clearly confused by this tactic. Most opponents either attacked head-on or formed a defensive position. This deliberate dispersal was unusual. The lead Krell signaled his brothers to split up, 2 heading toward the elevated rocky section, where Desmond and the muscular human had positioned themselves, one pursuing the red-haired female and her partner toward the water feature, and the leader himself stalking toward the remaining pairs in the central arena. And then something truly unexpected happened. As the 2 Krells approached the elevated position, Desmond and his partner suddenly produced crude projectile weapons, slingshots fashioned from the elastic components of their training equipment, and launched a volley of small metal fragments directly at the Krell's eyes. One Krell howled in pain as a shard struck its target. The other dodged but lost momentum, allowing Desmond to launch a perfectly timed spear thrust that penetrated the creature's less protected throat. The crowd gasped. First blood to the humans. Across the arena, similar scenes unfolded. The humans were using the terrain, using improvised weapons, using tactics that the Krells clearly hadn't anticipated. They weren't fighting like typical gladiators. They were fighting like guerrillas, striking quickly and retreating, separating their opponents, exploiting momentary vulnerabilities. "What is this?" Voryx hissed. "Those projectile weapons weren't authorized." "They are not energy weapons," I replied, unable to keep a note of admiration from my voice. "Just repurposed materials, technically within regulations. They are cheating. They are adapting." On the arena floor, the battle intensified. The injured Krell recovered and charged Desmond's position with berserk fury. The 2 humans retreated higher up the rocky terrain, leading the enraged fighter into a narrower passage where his size became a disadvantage. Meanwhile, the red-haired female and her partner had lured their pursuer into the water feature, a deep pool that slowed the Krell's movements while the nimbler humans darted around its edges, attacking opportunistically with their blades. The lead Krell, recognizing the danger of his brothers being separated and picked off, bellowed a command. The Krells disengaged and attempted to regroup in the central arena. That was when the humans sprung their trap. As the Krells converged, 6 humans suddenly emerged from concealed positions, having circled behind during the confusion. They attacked simultaneously, targeting joints and weak points in the Krell's armor with surgical precision. One Krell went down, hamstrung by coordinated strikes from 3 humans. Another lost its primary weapon to a brilliant disarming maneuver by the red-haired female. The crowd, initially stunned into silence, now roared with excitement. This wasn't the one-sided slaughter they'd expected, but it was undeniably spectacular. The lead Krell, sensing disaster, activated his emergency beacon, a small device implanted in his armor that could trigger the arena's environmental hazards. It was a desperate move, typically saved for the most challenging matches. Fire jets erupted from the arena floor in random patterns. Acid pools bubbled to the surface. Platforms shifted unexpectedly. But instead of panicking, the humans adapted again. They used the fire jets to herd the remaining Krells toward the acid pools. They timed their movements with the shifting platforms to gain advantageous positions. It was like watching a complex dance, choreographed with impossible precision. The humans moved as if they had trained for this specific scenario for years, not improvising in the moment. The second Krell fell when Desmond and 3 others coordinated an attack that drove him into an acid pool. The third, wounded and disoriented, succumbed to a barrage of strikes from multiple directions. Only the lead Krell remained, backing toward the arena wall as 8 humans closed in. The massive gladiator fought with the desperation of a champion facing the unthinkable, defeat at the hands of inferior opponents. For a moment it seemed the tide might turn. The lead Krell's superior strength and reach allowed him to wound 2 humans severely. But then Desmond did something that left even me speechless. He threw down his weapons. The arena fell silent. The Krell hesitated, confused by this apparent surrender. Desmond spoke, his words translated and amplified through the arena's systems. "Your brothers are dead. You are alone. Surrender, and we will spare you." Mercy? In the arena? Unheard of. The Krell roared in fury and charge. Desmond stood his ground until the last possible moment, then dropped and rolled. The red-haired female and the muscular human struck simultaneously from opposite sides, driving their blades into the Krell's exposed flanks. The champion staggered, dropping to his knees. Desmond retrieved his spear and stood before the fallen gladiator. The crowd held its collective breath. The killing blow was inevitable. It was the way of the arena. But Desmond turned away. He looked directly at Emperor Zoltek's box and spoke again. "We don't kill defeated opponents. That's not our way. We are not here for your entertainment. We are here to win our freedom." The arena erupted in chaos. Such defiance was unprecedented. Guards moved toward the emergency gates, prepared to enter the arena and restore order. Emperor Zoltek raised a limb, and silence fell instantly. All eyes turned to the Imperial box. For a long, tense moment, the Emperor regarded the humans with an unreadable expression. Then, incredibly, he extended 2 upper limbs with thumbs pointed upward, the signal for exceptional entertainment. The crowd exploded with approval. Chants of Hermin echoed throughout the champion's ring. Vorex was apoplectic. "This is outrageous. They have made a mockery of sacred tradition." "The Emperor can't possibly." "The Emperor can do whatever pleases him," I interrupted, watching as the humans were led from the arena, not as defeated acquisitions, but as victorious gladiators. And right now, these humans please him greatly. The aftermath was immediate and far-reaching. The humans were moved to the champion's quarters, private rooms, quality nutrition, proper medical facilities. Their status was elevated from disposable acquisitions to valued performers, and most significantly, their next match was scheduled, not as a punishment, but as the headline event of the grand tournament's final day. "The Emperor has lost his mind," Vorex raged during our post-match assessment, "giving these primitives special treatment. They are property, commodities. They are the most popular fighters in the history of the arena," I countered. "Viewing numbers have tripled. Merchandise bearing their images is selling out across 3 systems. They have become valuable assets." "They are dangerous," Vorex insisted. "Did you hear what that one said about winning their freedom? They are planting ideas, creating disturbances." He wasn't wrong. Reports had already reached us of unrest among other acquisitions, whispers of resistance, hope, that most contagious of diseases, was spreading through the holding pen. "I want you to interview their leader again," Vorex ordered. "Find out what they are planning. They must have a more extensive strategy. No primitive species improvises tactics of that sophistication." I found Desmond in the champion's medical bay, where he was visiting his injured comrade. The red-haired female, Maya, I'd learned, had suffered a deep laceration to her shoulder. The muscular man, Kenji, had 3 broken ribs, but their spirits remained unbroken. Impressive performance, I said as Desmond turned to face me. The Emperor was pleased. We are not here to please your Emperor, Desmond replied calmly. We are here to go home. After 2 victories, that's not how the system works. Then the system will change. Such confidence, such certainty. I gestured for him to follow me to a private consultation room, away from the other humans and the medical staff. Your tactics against the Krell Brothers, I began once we were alone. They were unexpected. Desmond smiled. Humans have been perfecting the art of asymmetric warfare for thousands of years. Calva, when faced with a stronger opponent, you don't match strength with strength. You find weaknesses, you adapt, you overcome. And the mercy you showed to the lead Krell, was that also strategy? Partly, he admitted, but it was also principle. Humans have evolved beyond the need for needless killing. We fight when necessary, but cruelty for spectacle's sake, that's beneath us. The irony was striking. These supposedly primitive beings considering our sacred traditions barbaric. Your next match will be more challenging, I warned. The Emperor has commissioned something special, a new opponent, designed specifically to counter your tactics. I expected concern. Instead, Desmond leaned forward with interest. Tell me more. Once again, I found myself sharing information I should have withheld. A genetically engineered hybrid, part Dravax, part xenomorph. Extremely intelligent, nearly invulnerable hide, regenerative capabilities. It's being called the Executioner. One creature against all of us. This one is equivalent to an army. It's been in development for years, waiting for a worthy opponent. Desmond nodded thoughtfully. When? 7 days from now, the final event of the grand tournament. And if we win, I hesitated. There's a special dispensation. Any fighter or team that defeats the Executioner earns immediate classified status. 20 victories instead of 30. Not freedom, no, but a significant step toward it. Desmond stood, signaling the end of our conversation. We will be ready, but I want something in return for the show we are going to put on. You are not in a position to make demands. I want access to the other human acquisitions, the ones not selected for fighting. I frowned in confusion. Why? They are scheduled for labor assignments, not combat. They are our people. We want to ensure they are being treated properly. There was something more to this request. Something he wasn't saying, but I couldn't identify what it might be. I will consider it. No promises. As I turned to leave, Desmond called after me. You know, Calvor, there's a place for people like you when this is over. When what is over? That smile again. You will see. The following days saw unprecedented activity throughout Nexus Prime. The upcoming match between the humans and the Executioner had captured the public imagination. Security was tightened. Betting reached astronomical levels. The Emperor himself took a personal interest in the arena preparations, commissioning special modifications to ensure maximum spectacle. Against my better judgment, I arranged for Desmond and 2 other humans to visit the labor acquisition area. I told myself it was to maintain their cooperation, to ensure they would provide the entertainment the Emperor demanded. But deep down, I recognized an uncomfortable truth. I was becoming invested in their journey. The day before the match, I received an urgent summons to Vorix's private chambers. I found him reviewing security footage, his normally orange skin pale with concern. Look at this, he demanded, gesturing to the holographic display. The footage showed Desmond and his 2 companions in the labor acquisition area. They appeared to be simply talking with their fellow humans, nothing unusual or threatening. But Vorix highlighted a section of the interaction, enhancing the audio. When the signal comes, be ready to move, Desmond was saying quietly. Phase 2 begins tomorrow. Phase 2? Signal? The implications were disturbing. They are planning something, Vorix hissed. An escape attempt, perhaps. Or worse. They are just trying to give hope to their people, I suggested, though without much conviction. Psychological comfort. Don't be naive, Calvo. These humans have been manipulating us from the beginning. Their victories weren't just adaptability, they were part of a larger strategy. I couldn't entirely disagree. There had been something calculated about their approach from the start, but a true threat to the Empire. That seemed far-fetched. What do you propose? I asked. Terminate them. All of them. Cancel tomorrow's match and dispose of the problem before it grows. The suggestion shocked me. The Emperor would never approve. The match is the centerpiece of the grand tournament. Cancellation would be a massive embarrassment. The Emperor doesn't know what we know, which is what, exactly? Vague comments that could mean anything. Evidence of unusual competence. That's not enough to justify terminating valuable assets. Vorix studied me with growing suspicion. You are defending them. Again, perhaps your judgment has been compromised, Calvo. Perhaps you should be relieved of duty until this situation is resolved. I felt a chill run through me. Removal from duty at this critical juncture would be professionally devastating. But more than that, I realized I needed to see how this would play out. My judgment is here, I insisted. The humans present no credible threat to the Empire. They are fighters in an arena, nothing more. Their value as entertainment far outweighs any theoretical risk. Vorix remained unconvinced. But without clear evidence of a plot, he couldn't justify extreme measures without the Emperor's approval. And approaching Emperor Zoltek with vague suspicions about his favorite new entertainment would be a career-ending move. Fine, he conceded reluctantly. The match proceeds as scheduled, but I'm doubling the security protocols. And you, Calvo, will be held personally responsible if anything goes wrong. The day of the final match arrived with unprecedented fanfare. The Champions Ring had been expanded and modified with new environmental features. Steeper terrain, larger water elements, even sections of simulated forest. The audience numbered over 100,000, with remote viewing stations established throughout the Empire. I stood at my station, watching as the humans prepared for their greatest challenge. They had been given premium armor this time, lightweight, but effective protection that covered vital areas, while allowing maximum mobility. Their weapons were top quality, selected from the champion's arsenal. Desmond approached me as the final preparations were made. Thank you for arranging the visit with our people, he said quietly. Don't make me regret it, I replied. Vorix has suspicions about your intentions, smart guy, your boss. Desmond checked his armor straps one last time. Any last-minute advice about the executioner? I hesitated, then decided that fair competition demanded some baseline information. It has no easily identifiable weaknesses. Its hide can withstand most conventional weapons. It thinks strategically, and it has never lost. First time for everything. Desmond extended his hand toward me, a human gesture I recognized from our cultural database as a sign of respect or agreement. After a moment's hesitation, I took his hand in mine. His grip was firm, confident. When this is over, he said quietly, remember that you had a choice, and you made the right one. Before I could ask what he meant, the call came for the fighters to enter the arena. Desmond rejoined his companions, and they moved as a unit toward the entrance gate. The announcer's voice echoed across the Champions Ring. Citizens of the glorious Zakarian Empire, by divine decree of Emperor Zoltek, we present the final event of the grand tournament. The humans entered to a surprisingly enthusiastic reception. Their unexpected victories had earned them a following among the Empire's citizens. Chants of humans competed with the traditional imperial salutes. And now, their ultimate challenge, the apex predator, the unconquered champion, the executioner. The opposite gates opened with a dramatic burst of pyrotechnics. The creature that emerged was a nightmare, given form, standing over 4 meters tall, with a chitinous exoskeleton that shimmered with unnatural iridescence. The executioner combined the worst aspects of multiple predatory species. Its elongated head housed multiple sensory organs. Its 6 limbs ended in razor-sharp appendages, capable of slicing through armor and flesh with equal ease. Its tail, tipped with a barbed stinger, whipped through the air with lethal precision. The crowd fell silent, awestruck by the sheer menace of the creature. Even those who had seen it before seemed stunned by its presence. Emperor Zoltek rose from his seat, raising all 4 limbs in the traditional blessing of combat. The signal to begin sounded. The executioner moved with impossible speed for its size, covering half the arena in seconds. The humans scattered, implementing what appeared to be a prearranged strategy. They split into 3 groups, heading for different terrain features: forest, water, and elevated rock formation. The creature hesitated, its multiple sensory organs tracking the separate groups. It chose to pursue the largest group, which included Desmond, into the forested section. What followed was unlike any arena combat I had ever witnessed. The humans didn't engage directly. They used the terrain to separate and confuse the executioner. They set traps. They created distractions. They communicated with hand signals and what appeared to be pre-arranged vocal codes. The executioner was formidable, wounding 3 humans in the initial exchanges, but it couldn't capitalize on its advantages. Every time it seemed to corner a group, another would attack from behind, forcing it to divide its attention. The audience was enraptured. This wasn't the quick, brutal spectacle of typical arena matches. This was strategy, intelligence, adaptability on display, and then something completely unexpected happened. As the executioner pursued Desmond through the rocky terrain, the human activated something on his armor, a small device I hadn't noticed during inspection. It emitted a high-pitched sonic pulse that caused the creature to recoil in pain. "What is that?" Vorex demanded, suddenly at my side. "Where did they get sonic technology?" I had no answer. Such devices shouldn't have been possible with the materials available to arena fighters. Across the arena, similar devices activated on other humans' armor. The executioner thrashed in obvious distress, its sensory organs overwhelmed by the sonic assault. "This is sabotage," Vorex hissed. "Interference. The match must be stopped." But Emperor Zoltek made no such signal. He watched with evident fascination as the humans coordinated their sonic attack, driving the executioner into a prepared position where they could target its less protected joints and sensory organs with their conventional weapon. The creature fought back with desperate ferocity, injuring several more humans. But the outcome was becoming clear. The supposedly invincible executioner was being systematically dismantled by what we had dismissed as primitive beings. "Security Protocol Omega," Vorex shouted into his communicator. "Terminate the acquisitions immediately." "Belay that order," I countered, surprising even myself with my defiance. "The match continues by Imperial decree." Guards hesitated, caught between conflicting commands. In the arena, the executioner had been driven to its knees, surrounded by the remaining uninjured humans. And then, at the moment of their apparent triumph, Desmond did something truly extraordinary. Instead of delivering the killing blow, he placed his weapon against the creature's primary sensory cluster, a mercy kill rather than a prolonged execution. The executioner collapsed, its life functions ceasing almost instantly. Silence fell over the arena. Then, Emperor Zoltek rose once again. All eyes turned to the Imperial box, awaiting the verdict on this unprecedented display. The Emperor extended all 4 limbs, thumbs pointed upward, the highest possible commendation. The crowd erupted in celebration. The humans had achieved the impossible. They had defeated the undefeatable. They had earned their elevated status. But Desmond wasn't finished. He stepped forward, his voice amplified through the arena's systems. "People of the Zakarian Empire, today you have witnessed what humans can accomplish against impossible odds. But we are not here for your entertainment. We are here because we were taken against our will from our home." Murmurs spread through the audience. Such direct address was unprecedented. "We have proven our worth in your arena. Now we claim what we have earned. Not just elevated status, not just better treatment. We claim our freedom and the freedom of all humans held captive in your empire." Vorix was frantically signaling the security forces. Shut him down. Cut the transmission. But the arena's systems remained active. Somehow, the humans had gained control of the communication network. On cue, the arena's massive display screens changed. Instead of showing the standard Imperial propaganda, they displayed images from throughout Nexus Prime, holding pens where human laborers were suddenly organized and moving with purpose. Security checkpoints where guards looked confused and overwhelmed. Docking bays where ships were being accessed by unauthorized personnel. Phase 2 isn't an escape attempt, Desmond continued. It's a revolution. While we have kept you entertained, our people have been preparing. Those sonic devices that helped us defeat your champion, they are just the beginning. We have been adapting your technology, learning your systems, identifying your weaknesses. Emperor Zoltek had risen from his seat, his expression shifting from amusement to alarm. Guards swarmed the Imperial box, creating a protective formation around him. We don't want war, Desmond declared. We want to go home, release all human captives, provide transport back to Earth, and acknowledge our system as sovereign territory. Do this, and there will be no further conflict. The audacity was breathtaking. A captured species dictating terms to the Zakarian Empire? It was unthinkable. Yet as alarms began to sound throughout the complex, as reports flooded in of human laborers overwhelming their supervisors, of critical systems mysteriously malfunctioning, of security protocols being bypassed, the unthinkable was becoming reality. They planned this from the beginning, I realized aloud. Every victory, every interview, every request. It was all part of a coordinated strategy. Vorix turned on me, his skin mottled with rage. You helped them. You gave them access to their people. You believed their lies. I believed in fairness, I corrected. In treating sentient beings with dignity. Perhaps if the Empire had done the same, we wouldn't be facing this situation. Throughout the arena complex, chaos reigned. The humans in the Champions Ring had been joined by others. Laborers who had somehow acquired weapons, technicians who had infiltrated control systems. And at the center of it all stood Desmond, calm and confident, as if this outcome had been inevitable from the moment of their capture. What happens now? I asked him, as security forces surrounded us, unsure whether to attack or negotiate. Now, Desmond smiled that unsettling smile one last time. Now the Zakarian Empire learns an important lesson about humanity. We don't stay conquered. We don't accept captivity. And we never ever fight just for someone else's entertainment. Within hours, emergency sessions of the Imperial Council had been convened. Within days, negotiations with the human representatives had begun. Within weeks, the first transport ships were being prepared to return the humans to their home planet. The Empire had made a critical error. They had treated humans as mere entertainment, as disposable resources to be exploited for amusement. They had failed to recognize the intelligence, the adaptability, the indomitable spirit of a species that refused to accept subjugation. They had made humans fight for sport, and that had been their biggest mistake. As for me, I found myself reassigned, not as punishment as I had expected, but as the newly created diplomatic liaison to Earth. It seemed my unusual perspective on interspecies relations had been noticed at the highest levels. My first official duty would be to accompany the human repatriation fleet, to witness firsthand the homecoming of those we had so grievously wronged, and perhaps to begin the long process of making amends. As the transport ship prepared for departure, Desmond found me on the observation deck. You know, he said, gazing out at the stars, when I told you we were going to take over the arena, I didn't think you'd actually help us. I didn't think I would either, I admitted. But something about you humans, you make one question long-held assumption. That's one of our better qualities. He turned to face me. You asked me once about human weaknesses, our physical vulnerabilities. I never gave you a straight answer. And now, our greatest weakness is that we care about each other, about fairness, about freedom. It makes us vulnerable, but it also makes us strong. It's why we couldn't just escape ourselves. We had to free everyone. I nodded, understanding at last the driving force behind their elaborate strategy. And your greatest strength? Desmond smiled. but this time without the edge of danger that had once accompanied it. Hope, Calvor. We never stop hoping for better, and we never stop fighting to make it real. As the ship broke orbit, carrying the first wave of humans back to their home, I wondered what the future held for relations between our peoples. Would there be peace, cooperation, or would the memory of the arena forever taint our interactions? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. The Zakarian Empire would never again make the mistake of underestimating humans. And perhaps in time, they would learn that not every species needed to be conquered, that some relationships could be built on mutual respect rather than dominance and submission. As Earth appeared on the view screen, a small blue-green gem against the vastness of space, I found myself experiencing an emotion rare among my kind: hope, not just for humans, but for the future of the Empire itself. Perhaps this defeat would become our greatest victory, the day we began to evolve beyond conquest and towards something better. "Welcome home," I said to Desmond. He nodded, eyes fixed on his planet. For both of us, I think, and somehow I knew he was right.